Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. Today we're going to talk about Splinterlands' new player experience. And I'm actually joined by one of my guild mates and co-leaders of Time and Attention, Isaac, and he's going to express some views that I'm going to push back on around what are the biggest concerns for the new player experience. And his view seems to be around we need to correct sort of the incentives and financial opportunities. We need to look at how tournaments reward some of the newest players and maybe some of the other innovative reward opportunities. But I'm fixated even on the mobile app experience because I think without a quality mobile app, we will not incentivize, we will not invite or keep any significant new player base. But more than that, there's second layer solutions that are needed for blockchain barriers that are in the way of people who like games but know nothing about NFTs, nothing about blockchain. So, detailed conversation, focus on how can we improve the Splinterlands new player experience. I hope you stick around for this one. Have an amazing day. God bless.
Now the thing I'm like, they're doing some improvements to new player experience, right? So we've
Mm-hmm.
got they new players start in novice, and they only play other novice accounts or the bots that they put in novice, and you can't fall back into novice
Yep.
now.
Yep.
So they won't be playing these grindy bots trying to get rewards. So that's good. Um, I really want to see us do like as a competitive gamer, I don't see like yes, we have all these tournaments, but like it's the same thing I run into when I talk to this game with other competitive gamers. They look at our tournament scene and it looks like nothing but a bunch of handouts to whales.
Mm.
Like stay in there. Like I'm playing in gold. Like gold's actually where I play, but I get to diamond, right? And if I want to go play in a tournament right now, for gold, anytime tournament today, yay, 10 SPS entry fee. That sounds fine. Oh, wait, I don't have 11K SPS staked.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I don't have that. So I don't have um, that. Oh, and it's only for alpha cards. Sorry. I don't have 70K powered alpha cards. Like, oh, here's a diamond when I can enter. It's 4 SPS. But that's a beginner's diamond tournament. So, but yeah, it's just constantly like most of our tournaments are, $500 in prizes. Well, this one's not an actual Splinterlands tournament, though. You know, it's just so weird. Like our tournaments are often just giveaways,
Mm.
and I've talked to them, and I've worked with a couple guys, and I put together what I think would be like the best esports scene for Splinterlands. And I think we could do something. Like I want to see us get a good esports scene going.
Mm-hmm.
Because essentially when you're doing game design, what you want is a good landing point for people to get started with like this giant goal they can try to achieve, right?
Yeah.
You want them to understand what it's going to take to go from I'm a new player to I'm the world champion,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that's your dream, right? So what I would imagine we would have is like monthly championships, right? So we would have like an arena for whatever month we're doing, where you would just do a bunch of little 8-person battles, right? 8-person tournaments as quickly as you could. Everybody would get points for how good they do in those battles.
Mm-hmm.
And then the top 16 people or whatever at the end of the month would compete for that title for that month. And what would be really cool is if we could get them on board, give out a title, like put all the titles on like one account and delegate them to whoever wins so that okay, you're holding the gold modern champion title for this year
Mm-hmm.
until next year.
Yep.
And then maybe even get like a land for each title and like, oh, you're a title holder, so you get it. We're going to delegate your land for a year or something, so that you can use this land. And you got to set the tournaments up so that, yeah, I'm paying a little bit for every tournament I enter in,
Mm-hmm.
but every tournament could easily be set up. As long as you finish first, second, or third, you win some DEC.
Mm-hmm.
So it's worth it to keep entering these tournaments, even if I'm never going to be in the top 16, which keeps people playing. But you're also taking a little bit of every entry fee and putting it into the prize pool. We've seen this with Dota and other games. Like you get some pretty big prize pools.
Mm-hmm.
And if we could set up that model, the only thing the game's putting up are the things that are being delegated, right? The titles and the land, and the players are building that reward pool. So you have kind of have an infinite play structure here. As long as players are willing to pay the entry fee for the tournaments, they can play endlessly without having to worry about ECR or energy or whatever. And you just let them play. And I think something like that would. I know if we had that kind of system, I could probably recruit a lot of competitive card gamers. But right now, this system, I've got people keeping an eye on it, watching it. But I mean, they love that it's a digital card game where they really own the cards.
Mm-hmm.
That's an easy sell point. But we still treat the game too much like an investment platform and not enough like a game from the
Yeah.
development standpoint, is what
I
I'm seeing.
I agree,
Like,
but I think I agree with everything you said. I just don't see any sort of feasible way. I don't really think any of the strategies to try and make this more appealing, the tournament experience more appealing to like a new player, or to move it away from, like, for instance, I think you said it's like it's a tribute to the whales or something. I think ultimately a game like this is going to be, tournaments are going to be a tribute to the people who are OG, who have like these massive decks, who probably put next to no financial value into the game. Like myself, I put 5 grand into the game and I've got like $100,000 worth of assets. That
yeah.
was timing. That was time. I've been time in this game. 4 years is it took to do that. So, you know, these tournaments and anything, and actually the game itself, are going to always be but particularly now, are almost a tribute or a benefit to those who have been here the longest, who are the whales, because there are too many this is one of the things I've been pushing really hard lately, is like, the issue isn't we need tournaments better. The issue isn't whales are getting too many benefits directly. The actual issue is there's too many barriers, and it's almost under the heading of like new player experience, where I would be pointing too many barriers to get new people in it. I'm specifically thinking about, like, for instance, the cryptocurrency elements, like, you talked about you need 10,000 SPS in this tournament worth of staking. How does one get that? And we know, and I know it's actually really challenging. There's, from one exchange to another, you're paying fees at every level. You need to understand blockchain to a degree that is challenging for a layperson, and that is a massive barrier to get to a place where we would have a thriving new player experience. And tack on to that, like, the mobile experience is very poor. Tack on to that, some of the black eye and the negative press that NFT gets in 2023, or did get in 2022. So I think that all, to me, is the bigger issue. It's like, yes, tournaments need to be corrected. Yes, they need to be kind of from the ground up redesigned in a way that will attract a new player benefit experience. But I don't see that being possible. But I like everything you said around, like, hey, delegations and long-term delegations as a reward, so that these guys, but none of that's going to happen until we even get a new player crowd. And we don't really have that. We have a bunch of OGs that have been here and love this. And we have some guys who are like yourself, 1.5, 2 years, that are getting there. We don't have a huge thriving community of people who are brand new and desperate for more.
And the reason that is we're targeting the wrong audience. Right? Like, I'm sorry, but like the Roonies are cool, but Roonies were this entire idea to do something to attract investors,
Mm-hmm.
right? We did the Waka Flocka promo card. We're going to attract all of these Waka Flocka NFT investors, right? It's constantly been focused on investors. And here's the thing that people are missing. I have played with countless Pro Tour Magic players who would not think twice to drop 7 to 8 grand to build one deck to go play in a legacy or vintage Magic event.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know the cards they're buying
Mm-hmm.
are valuable. And even if they adjust up and down after the tournament, they're probably going to get 80 to 110% of their value back, right? Like, they're understanding that the things I'm buying are not throwing away money. These are assets that I now own, and I'm switching money into these assets, and I'll I can switch out, right?
Hmm.
Like getting those people who understand putting money into a card game is buying assets,
Hmm.
or getting the people who play Hearthstone who spent I think $185 million on the mobile app last year
Yeah.
to buy packs, cosmetic skins, and battle passes,
Hmm.
none of which they own, are what we need in the system. We don't need Ethem, but and like the last promo we did to sell out packs showed that the focus we're seeing from the game is entirely on whales and big purchases and investment. Why didn't we do something that said take all of the same prizes and say, okay, we're going to do an airdrop of, to people in this last little bit where whoever buys for every pack you get X number of tickets or for the airdrop, and then we're going to give away all this stuff in an airdrop at the end.
How would that not be a benefit to the whales? I'm not following you.
It would have been to a benefit to the whales. The whales could have bought more packs, but the way they structured it made it so that for the whales, it wasn't about buying as many packs as possible to have as many chances to get these rewards, right? It was about waiting to the end and sniping the highest spots on the board.
Hmm.
They were actually incentivized to let packs burn and wait till it got down to the last 50 or 75K and then go and try to buy 11 or 12K packs
Hmm.
to be the top. So they were incentivized for letting the packs dwindle down until they could guarantee a top 5 spot,
Hmm.
right? So what we did instead of incentivizing everyone who plays the game,
Hmm.
go buy 5 or 6 packs,
Yeah.
buy a few lottery tickets, get packs. You may win a plot of land, you may win a Rooney, you may win some. You could have broken up all the plots to individual plots and said, we're giving away 200 plots of land and 25 Roonies, at random, right?
Hmm.
You could have done something like that, but instead, oh, we're just doing a leaderboard and incentivizing for people to wait.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Um,
I think your criticism is justified, but I just like again, like I feel like we are picking like it's almost who cares if that was done wrong if at the end of the
oh no,
day the mobile app isn't where it needs to be and that can, I think there's like a longer conversation there because I actually believe the mobile app is desperately needed but actually is cannot be done yet, and I think that has to
oh,
do with the financial component side. Plus there's an attitude from the team that they actually think, and I've heard Beard say this, there's a suspicion from the team that the mobile app is not a big deal because no one currently uses it, so why would we spend time on dev time on creating it better? Well, no one uses it because it's terrible. And
yeah, and
that's that
that
to me, that like forget about where how they reward structure the leaderboard payout of the Chaos Legion thing and what
yeah,
got burnt, what did. Forget about how
yeah.
you know what I mean, like new player experience. And to me, when I say when I talk about the mobile app, I'm actually wrapped up in that word mobile app. You need to understand that there's also like a second layer solution for the finances, the blockchain element of Splinterlands. We cannot have, hey, brand new player, come join Splinterlands. Here's a crappy app. By the way, you got to figure out blockchain. Those are two
Yeah.
massive barriers, and to me, they're intertwined under a new player experience. And I think when we fix that, we will see an influx of new players. And then when there truly is a body of players that are enjoying it from then I think you'll start to see those things. You can more justifiably advocate for the things you're talking about, like the better improved tournaments and even
Well,
the distribution of rewards from like a leaderboard sale like this. I think that probably flows. What do you think?
well, yeah. I think that if they're not focusing on the mobile app, they're missing their what I think is their biggest opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I think anybody who's sold on Web3 all the way is blinded. I think what you're going to see is more like what Gala's doing, Web2 with Web3 economies as the back end. I think Web3 is too bulky, at least right now, to be the front end of a game. I think you've got to build something uh, like that. I think Splinterland's hope and prayer is that mobile app. I think Splinterlands could remain a top 10 mobile game for the next 5 to 10 years, right? And you could build other modes in, like tower defense could be a great mobile app, right? Like that would be a good mobile game, things like that. But if you're counting on people going to a website to play your game,
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm sorry, like you need to be on the App Store. You need to be out there, people doing your transactions. And it's gonna be iffy to me because you look at like what Illuvium's putting out, like you're going to see AAA quality games this year
Hmm.
in 2023 with NFT based economies. And once we 2023, 2024, as the top games have NFTs, it's going to press on like a lot of your smaller NFT projects will probably drop out. Uh, but
I don't think
I,
I do hear that a lot where it's like there's going to be this, we're going to be kind of almost left in the dust because there's a new wave of NFT gaming, blockchain games
yeah,
that are going to be really impressive and they're going to attract all the attention. I don't buy that because people still, there's a thriving community for Nintendo games, 8-bit Nintendo games, Super Nintendo, classic video games. To me, it's Splinterlands offers something that, like a first-person shooter, like if there's some sort of blockchain version of Fortnite, that's not this, and I don't care if that thrives. In fact, I think that will thrive, and I think,
yeah,
I think NFT Diablo would kick butt. I think NFT Fallout would be amazing. I think, but those are in and of, there's like a whole other thing. I think this, people say this isn't impressive looking. I don't care. No one, the people who are here, I don't really, I think probably 1 in 1,000 is like, oh man, it's so lame looking. That really ruins my day. I think the gameplay that, and I've heard we've talked, you and I have spoken before so many times about the, the, like the meta analysis and the counterplay, and I like you particularly are like a real counter player. You won't go for that OP summoner, but you'll equip yourself with some of those off meta summoners, and then you delight in recognizing what your opponent is trying and just countering it. And so I feel like
yeah,
you are an example of how
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like this isn't appealing to people, say as if this is something that's a big problem, the
yeah.
graphical problem. I don't think it is.
Yeah, I don't think we have to be a AAA super realistic game. Like, right? That's not we're a card game
Hmm.
at our core. We're a card game. So but we have to. Some of the things we're seeing though is just I'm not concerned with our graphics. Nate does a great job with making things look pretty. I think he does a great job. I'm not concerned. Um, I'm concerned with our thought process when all of our when we're not trying to think wide, we're thinking tall. Like like I was talking about with the giveaway, but with like every promo they want to do, it seems like, oh, we're going to sell max level summoner Wakas or Lux Vegas. And it's like you could do
Yeah.
the exact same thing, but include the lower people in it, right? Like
Hmm.
if you just sold one BCX copies for 1/11th of the cost, you would sell infinitely more of these cards. Like
Mm.
I don't understand like what your thought process is when you keep going for whales. You keep going for whales when I would have rather sold, like they end up selling 110K packs as their promo, right?
Hmm.
At the end. I think they could have sold 300K,
Hmm.
right? And it's just like if you spread things out a little bit from a lot goes a lot farther than a lot from a few.
Hmm.
And like so getting them in that thought process, but I see improvements constantly.
Yep.
So I'm always eager and happy to see improvements. They're taking feedback. I think as long as everybody keeps giving productive feedback, don't just say I don't like something. Say why. Either
Yeah.
at least include why you don't like it. What response it's having, and then do you have a solution? Like
Hmm.
I say, I don't like how our tournament system is. So I went out on Peaked and wrote, here's what our tournament system should be.
Hmm.
Right? Like I will show you what I think it should be, and how we can make this work.
Hmm.
But like we got to get a new play. We need somebody who's in charge of the player journey, who
Yeah.
understands where we're starting, how we get a new player in,
Yeah.
and what the goal of this player should be.
I think that's
And the
true. That's
goal
a great
can't
way.
be to make money.
You got to
Like
say that
you can't.
again. Like what you just said is the absolute. I feel like that's absolutely key. We need somebody in charge of the new player journey, because it's not
Yeah,
just it is tournaments, and it is like reward structures, and it is all the things you mentioned, but then it's also the things I mentioned around like the mobile app and
Yeah.
the blockchain barriers. It's all tied together to a place where if you're a new person who has none of this experience, they need to be able to enter without these barriers and with the joyful incentives.
Yeah. You just remove the word new player.
Yeah.
It's just the player journey.
Yeah.
And the player journey has to include new players just getting into the game, how they interact with the game, how we get their account set up, how they get money into it, all the way up to how do I go from diamond 1 to a champion level player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to be thinking about that the whole way. We saw some similar things before, and yeah, it's been a mess.
Dude, I have a meeting in 20 minutes, and I gotta get cleaned up. But great conversation, and I like that the player journey. That's it.
Yeah.
I think we do need to fix that, and I think they, like you said, I think they're working on that. But it's like I don't know that they are. I don't believe that they're actually at the highest levels taking as seriously the points that you made, nor the points that I made. I think they're actually like, yes, we hear you, but we're working on, and what they're working on land. We spent a half an hour talking about how important that is. So,
Yeah.
you know, they are dealing with important things, but man, I think when they finally sort this out, that player journey that we just described, I think, man, this game goes from maybe 40,000 real people to like, you know, 400,000 real people. And that's transforming.
When everything they've built kicks in, right? That's when the flywheels start spinning, card values start appreciating. Everybody that's in it now rolls in money after that.
Yeah.
But I gotta go help my wife get ready.
Isaac, thanks for hanging out, buddy. Great conversation, pal.
Talk to you later.
Bye.